Chapter 77 Spies Among Us. Derek Muller was born in Bremen in the final year of the First World War. Raised during some of the hardest times for Germany, due to the reparations to cover the civilian damage caused during the war that had been set out in the 1919 Treaty of Versailles. This in part led to the very rise of German socialism in the 1920s and 1930s, the Nazi Party, and ultimately World War II. Rising through the ranks of Hitler Youth movement, he had quickly been identified as an exceptional mind and natural linguist. During a 1930s summer placement to Basingstoke, his command of the English language had gone from beginner to expert in a few months, soon becoming almost impossible to distinguish from someone born there. Upon finishing school, he had been recommended for a covert program, run by the developing Waffen-SS, in which sleeper agents were placed in English society as children and young adults in an attempt to infiltrate the British military, eventually to be promoted to positions of authority. His codename would be Zonkenig, German for Wren. He had been seconded to the Anerhub for a year as preparation, to broaden his scientific understanding, so that even a minor reference to scientific breakthrough could be identified and reported back to Germany. It was here his clearly exceptional intelligence had been spotted by Dr. Marlberg and a relationship engineered. His instructions were clear during either his studies or his placement. Wherever that may be, Derek was to treat certain intelligence quite differently. Any mention of nuclear physics or Lake Torntrask itself was to be reported directly to Dr. Marlberg himself. Applying to Cambridge University under a false identity to study economics, he joined the after-hours chess club, to make friends and socialize, but he quickly began to dominate his peers. His clear application of strategy was soon recognized by military intelligence observers and his background checked. His handlers in Germany had done an excellent job of creating his backstory and profile, and it wasn't long after his clearance had been assessed that he had been recruited into military intelligence as a junior officer. Though this career path had not been the one anticipated by the powers that be, the opportunity it presented had been eagerly welcomed. And so it was a few years later, in a darkened broom closet of a room, Lieutenant Miller had heard the words Lake Torntrask and Die Glock and had been unceremoniously pulled at the mention of a fruitcake. Minutes after being told to go home and not return until the next day, he had grabbed his coat and almost ran home. After securing all doors and windows, Lieutenant Miller gathered his scribbled evidence and retrieved his secure radio and code books from a hidden space in the floorboards. Encrypting the message had taken some time, as every character had to be processed separately, but the resulting string of apparently random characters looked like absolute gobbledygook. All he needed to do now was to transmit it to Dr. Marlberg at the prearranged time. To anyone listening, it would be as if somehow had fallen asleep on the button, and their restless rolling back and forth was the real reason for the garbage being transmitted. 90 minutes later it was done. The message had been transmitted, his notes destroyed, and the radio set once again secreted in the space under the floor. As Lieutenant Miller, aka Derek Muller, eased himself into his evening completely unaware of the impact of his intelligence, Dr. Marlberg was receiving the hand-delivered and decrypted contents in his office at Lake Torntrask. Looking up to the messenger, Dr. Marlberg had only one question. "This message, was it correctly decrypted?" "Yes, sir. All messages are decrypted by two people in order to prevent mistakes, sir." "In that case, thank you, you may go." Dr. Marlberg processed the contents of the message. It would appear the two people that had broken into DG-001 and had so successfully used Die Glock, before simply disappearing, had somehow returned to the UK in record time. The only logical explanation was the British already had a Die Glock of their own.